My grandfather apprenticed for a fellow named Martinus Smith. My grandfather built a number of buildings, I want to say between the years 1915 and 1923.
And where my grandfather was exclusively pretty much a boat builder, Dave and Joe and Frank made the place more into a marina where we did boat repairs and some building.
Our dirt floor barns actually are very good for the wooden boats. They tend to stay kind of damp and moist throughout the winter and into the early spring, and they don't dry out in there. They used to build mostly, I'd say, commercial type vessels. Shoal draft, the barges that were used to ship lumber, coal, and other supplies from New York City out to Long Island. My grandfather, I believe, continued doing that sort of building when he started his own business. Like I said, he got into building these arrows. I understand they built hundreds of those boats here. It was only after he retired that my dad and uncle started to build the Weeks sea skiffs, and those were production boats, 26 feet, single screw. The skiffs, I think, were being built from maybe about 1955 to 65, so over a period of maybe 10 years. They probably built between 15 and 20 of them.
Our business now is we have about 75 slips. We store about 130 boats in the wintertime, which we do maintenance and typical spring repairs that people need done. It's starting to get rare, actually, that there are number one yards around that'll even take wooden boats, let alone do work on them. And it was a business that I would say in the late 80s, early 90s, really looked like it was going to die out here as well as everywhere else on Long Island. And then all of a sudden, reputation-wise, and the fact that we were one of the only marinas left doing it, that work started to become more and more again around sometime 94, 95, and we did some advertising in that sense. And now we do pretty much full-blown restoration work of wooden boats and even some older fiberglass boats.
We still build the Force 5 sailboat, which is a fiberglass, one design sailboat. We are the trademark owners and builders of those boats. We have been since 1994. Working with wood, I think, from a health standpoint, is a lot less onerous than working with fiberglass. Building a fiberglass boat almost feels like baking cake. It's sort of almost like a chemical process when you're dealing with fiberglass and resin and gel coat and everything in layers, and it sort of cooks and sets, and then you pop it out, and voila, you've got a boat. Whereas working with wooden boats is a little bit more of it's much more of an artistic and creative process. The stories that I heard about the 1938 hurricane, the local knowledge that was gained went into the design of this marina when it was expanded and raised in 65. There was supposedly, when the machine shop was out on that spit of land, there was a high water mark that somebody marked. My dad and uncles used some of that knowledge in deciding how high to raise the property here. And from 1938 until Hurricane Irene in 2011, the water, the river, never broached the bulkhead, ever, not once. And in Irene it did, and of course in Sandy, it just, by a long shot, it just obliterated that mark. I've never seen so much water here in my life, and I hope never to again.